The heir is held to higher standards." Miss Frost looked at Simon with pursed lips. "That explains why you seem so stern all the time, Lord Farleigh." "Me?" He sat up straighter. "Stern?" Surely not. He had been a well-mannered host. He had smiled at her, even attempted a jest a time or two. "I'm not stern." The word itself conjured up images of his grandfather's portrait on the wall, a scowling headmaster and his father's captain of the guard, Rockwell. Those old men were stern. He was merely proper, respectful. "I am afraid I must agree with Miss Frost," Luca said, taking his wife's hand in his. "You have always struck me as a serious man, despite your age." Luca was only 5 years Simon's senior. That certainly didn't sound flattering coming from him. "You used to be a lot livelier than you are now," Andrew added. Whose side was he on? "You aren't nearly as much fun as you used to be." The traitor. "I am lively," Simon retorted, then winced at how sullen he sounded. "My status as my father's heir requires I conduct myself with dignity and respectability. That is all." His sister turned against him next. Ever since marrying Andrew, she'd become quicker to tease and jest, though her sense of humour was drier than his. "It sounds as though you think a duke's offspring should be the dullest person in company." Josephine put her chin in her hand and made a show of studying him while her eyes sparkled with mirth. "Dear me, I hope I'm not expected to behave that way. I will disappoint everyone terribly." How had everyone turned against Simon in the 5 minutes since they had sat down with him? He glowered at Andrew, feeling his friend was the most to blame for this sudden attack on his character. His friend smiled with complete innocence. Andrew looked pointedly at Miss Frost. "I suppose he isn't all bad. It is more the idea that he doesn't wish to make a spectacle of himself." Simon opened his mouth to give a retort, but Miss Frost spoke before he could. "I can understand that motivation. Having anyone stare at me for less than flattering reasons is off-putting." "What would a less than flattering reason be, precisely?" Josephine asked. Almost as though she and Andrew were working together, driving the conversation to a particular point that Simon could not yet see. But no, that was ridiculous. He had obviously spent too much time studying his father's military books. Why else would he get the feeling he was being led into an ambush? "Oh, well," Miss Frost's fair cheeks darkened to a soft pink hue. "When we spoke of mistletoe before, that is a distinctly uncomfortable situation for a lady to be in, I would think." Eileen hadn't the faintest idea why the conversation had turned on her. She'd thought Lord Farleigh's friends wanted to draw him out. She needn't be involved in whatever scheme they were concocting. Except Lord Farleigh turned toward her, one of his eyebrows cocked upward. "You do not hold with the mistletoe tradition?" "I haven't ever taken part in it," she admitted with what she hoped the others would see as a confident smile. "Mistletoe doesn't grow in Ireland, and I have never celebrated Christmas anywhere else." "But you would object to someone stealing a kiss beneath a kissing ball?" Lord Farleigh seemed flummoxed by her reluctance, and she couldn't help bristling. "It is still called stealing, which would imply a kiss not freely given." Then she turned to Josephine. "You cannot tell me that there is any other point in the year in which one would think it an acceptable pastime to go around kissing women merely because they stand beneath a certain plant." That confounded them for a moment, and Eileen thought she'd won her point across. "But it is tradition." Lord Farleigh still stared at her with bemusement. "One doesn't go about wearing masks unless invited to a mask ball. That particular behaviour is reserved for the right time. So too are mistletoe kisses." She had never sat among a group of men and women discussing the topic of kissing to this extent. Perhaps it was all well and good for them, who knew each other or were connected via their marriages. But Eileen shifted uncomfortably, then met Lord Farleigh's gaze. "The man being lectured for his lack of frivolous behaviour hardly seems the right person to take me to task for disliking a holiday tradition."